Barak came by in pursuit of Sisera, and Jael went out to meet him. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like she knows that he's coming. So, I don't know. It's not really clear. We're not really told if she had any kind of special revelation or information here from God. It's not clear. Maybe she knew something. She says, "Come, I will show you the man you're looking for." So he went in with her, and he goes in, and he's like, "Oh my God, did you do this?" And there lay Sisera with the tent peg through his temple, dead. On that day, God subdued Jabin, the Canaanite king, before the Israelites. And the hand of the Israelites grew stronger and stronger against Jabin, the Canaanite king, until they destroyed him. And so once again, God has delivered the Israelites. Again, showing them through this course of events that this is not your own doing. Showing them this is because I have rescued you. Through these miraculous events, I use this tent-dwelling woman to kill the general. I use this flash flood to give you the military advantage over people that had far superior weaponry to you. And the people are saved. Well, I think we might learn some things if we looked through the differences between the way Barak approached this situation and the way Jael did. And maybe we can learn some things here. So both of these people were faced with a decision at one point. Am I going to act? What am I going to do? Well, what sort of things might we look at them that might have influenced the decision? We look, Barak here, he's a qualified leader. Okay, he's able to mobilize these armies, has this military experience of some sort, trained, totally qualified. I mean, if you put these two people up and you said, who do you think can take out this general? Everyone would be like, that guy. And Jael, totally unqualified other than her ability to put up a tent and use a hammer like she owns it. But really, not that qualified to do something like this. On the face of things here, it's pretty clear which one of them would be qualified for a task like that. And yet, who does God end up using? He's not so concerned with the qualifications, is he? He's concerned with who will do it. Who is willing? Barak here had the prophet Deborah being like, God will hand him over to you. You will have victory. So he had this direct, special instruction from God with God's stamp of approval on behind you. And a blueprint, even, of how it would all happen. Jael, however, limited information. Maybe she knew something, but the text doesn't suggest that she had that kind of direct instruction that Barak did. Barak had conditional obedience. He said, yeah, God, I'll follow you. But only under these circumstances. And I think a lot of times that's what we do. And it's kind of interesting. We'll see next week a situation where something very similar happens, and God's compassionate. Okay, He knows we're weaklings. He knows that we lack spiritual spines a lot of the time. And He is so merciful and is willing to use people like that all the time. And He will go the extra mile for us. But we need to see there's something wrong about that. When all-powerful God says, I'm going to do something, would you like to be a part of it? Saying, maybe, but only if you do yada, 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 we're going to miss out. We're going to miss out on experiencing the fullness of His faithfulness and His power. Jael here, she just acted boldly. It seemed like she knew exactly what she was going to do once that guy fell asleep. She just walks on over without any hesitation. And I think there's something to this. When we have a risk in front of us, and we've decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And I remember having a situation like this. I knew I needed to kind of terminate this relationship over here. It was unhealthy. It was destructive. And I kind of knew that for a long time. And I just kind of like dragged my feet and found other things to busy myself with. And there really came a point where God was like, look, are you going to do this or are you going to do this? And it's time to just get the hammer and the tent peg and walk on over and get it over with. And do it. And sometimes that's what we got to do. We got to act boldly without hesitation and stop dragging our feet. Minimize responsibility. If I do this, then I don't want people to be looking back at me like, maybe this person should be heading it up, and I'll go for moral support or something. And we do this, right? This drives me crazy. Even though I'm totally guilty of this as a young believer, I did this all the time. Even still, sometimes I'm like, can't somebody else do this? But I'll have these things where I'll have this conversation with someone, and they'll be like, well, what do you think I should do? I'm like, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should try this. And so they go into this conversation, and they're like, maybe they're trying to confront somebody, and they're trying to say, hey, I've noticed this problem. They're like, well, Ruth said. And I'm like, don't drag me into this. I'll come and back you up if you need me to, but be a grown-up. And if this is what you think God has said, why don't you say, God's put this on my heart, and not Ruth said? Because at the end of the day, do they even care what I think? Probably not. And I think we need to be careful about this. Coming in and trying to use people that other people might listen to instead of us. And come in with the conviction God's given us in those kind of situations. And, be willing to take it if they disagree with us or whatever. Jael took full responsibility. She's like, want to come see what I did, Barak? It was just me, my skin of milk, hammer and a tent peg, and this dude. That's all it took. She didn't wait around for somebody else. She didn't run get her husband. She didn't ask for permission. She just did it. She, must have become, we see in, again, the poetic rendering in chapter 5 that she's praised and revered for the action that she took. And so there must have been something that convinced her, this is what I got to do. This is the right thing to do. And we look at Barak and we see this is the guy that should have delivered Israel. This is the guy that should have done it. And it's, I've been following God maybe some 12 years pretty seriously. And I've seen a lot of people that should have done amazing things for God. I've seen a lot of people who had outstanding potential, were way more gifted than I could ever hope to be, way more charismatic, way more driven. It seemed like they had everything. It's like, this person, they should have been an awesome, radical worker for God. And you look back and you wonder, what would he have done with them if they had only been willing? You do not want to be that person who should have become something great through the hands of God. And here we have Jael, who becomes an unexpected hero in this story. I mean, it's kind of crazy, even there from the beginning, when Deborah's like, look, a woman's going to take care of this. You think, oh, it's probably going to be Deborah, because she's real cool and she's a prophet. And the story seems way stronger than this wimp Barak, so it's probably going to be her. And then it ends up being this nobody, in human terms, that just happens to be at the right place at the right time, who says yes to God.